What if I told you that Persia never truly vanished? That it didn't just disappear into the dust of forgotten kingdoms, but instead it survived, it transformed, it became something new, yet still ancient. So why did this mighty civilization, with thousands of years of legacy, suddenly decide to change its name in the 20th century? And more importantly, what does that reveal about how empires fall, how cultures endure, and how modern nations fight to control their own story? In this video, you'll discover how an ancient empire shaped religion, science, and law across the globe, why the name Persia disappeared from maps and was replaced by Iran, how Iran protected its identity through invasions, revolution, and modern politics, and why this history still matters today for the Middle East, for the West, and for the way we understand power. This isn't just about a name, it's about memory, it's about identity, it's about how one nation refused to be erased. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe and leave a comment. What ancient empire do you believe still shapes the world today? Let's begin the journey. Imagine a land surrounded by towering mountains, scorching deserts, and timeless roads. But these roads didn't just carry goods, they carried ideas, stories, beliefs. That land is the Iranian plateau, and for thousands of years, it has stood as a beacon of culture, trade, and power. But who were the first to call it home? Where did the idea of Persia truly begin? To find out, we need to journey far, far back in time. Around 1500 BC, the land welcomed new settlers, tribes known as the INDO-IRANIANs. They were travelers, warriors, farmers, and they spoke languages that echoed the roots of Greek, Latin, and Sanskrit. Even today, we hear their legacy in Old Persian. The word for mother was madar, and father was pidar. Sound familiar? These weren't just words, they were the seeds of a civilization. From among these tribes rose two powerful groups, the Medes in the north and the Persians in the south. No one expected much from the Persians. Their homeland, called Pars, was small, not wealthy, not powerful, but history was about to be rewritten. From that humble land of Pars emerged a young leader named Kurush, known across history as Cyrus the Great. He was not like the kings of his time. He didn't lead with fear, he led with vision. Cyrus believed in unity, respect, wisdom. When he rose to power, he didn't just conquer land, he won hearts. He honored religions, he protected temples. For the Jewish people, exiled from their homeland, Cyrus became a liberator, a fulfillment of prophecy. Even the Babylonians called him the chosen of their god Marduk. Cyrus didn't erase identities, he honored them. And in doing so, he built an empire that was not only vast, but resilient. Therefore, under Cyrus and the kings that followed, Persia grew into the largest empire the world had ever seen. From India to Egypt, from the mountains of Central Asia to the shores of Greece, it was a realm unlike any before it. But it wasn't just about size, it was about structure, order, vision. They built roads that stretched for thousands of kilometers, created a lightning-fast messenger system. They managed laws, taxes, and local governments with astonishing care. This was the Achaemenid Empire, the first to bring the known world under one unified rule. But as we know, history moves quickly, and even the strongest empires must face their turning point. In the year 34 BC, a charismatic young leader crossed into Persian lands from the west. He was not even 30 years old. His name was Alexander of Macedonia, and the world would come to remember him as Alexander the Great. His mission wasn't just conquest, he sought to confront the legacy of Persia. To him, Persia was the ancient giant, and it was time, he believed, for the Western world to rise. He moved with astonishing speed. In legendary battles like Granicus, Issus, and Gaugamela, Alexander's forces overwhelmed the Persians, blow by blow, and soon, the mighty Achaemenid Empire, the world's first true superpower, was gone. But what happened next was utterly unexpected. Alexander didn't destroy Persia. He was enchanted by it. He married Persian women. He wore luxurious Persian robes. He embraced sacred traditions, even adopted imperial Persian titles. He began to call himself the heir to Persia's royal line. This stunned his men. They had crossed deserts to defeat an empire, not to watch their leader become part of it. Tension boiled in the ranks. Some saw him as soft. Others whispered that he had betrayed his identity. But Alexander had a different vision. He believed that true power came from unity, from blending East and West, and forging a fusion of cultures. Sadly, his dream was cut short. He died suddenly, at the age of just 32. And with no clear successor, his vast empire crumbled. After Alexander's death, Persia did not disappear. It simply shifted. First came the Seleucids, a Greek dynasty, then the Parthians, who revived Persian customs, and later, the Sasanians, who boldly reclaimed the legacy of Cyrus and Darius. The flame of Persia never went out. It burned on. In sacred temples, in timeless manuscripts, in haunting poetry, Zoroastrianism, the ancient religion, returned. So did distinctive Persian art, royal architecture, and imperial ceremony. But while Persia held tight to its soul, a new force was rising in the south. In the 7th century, the world changed once again. From the Arabian Peninsula came a revolutionary message, the revelation of Islam. With it came fiery armies, new laws, and a powerful new language, Arabic. The Sasanian Empire fell. Temples gave way to mosques. Arabic became the official voice of both government and religion, and Zoroastrianism began to fade from public life. But even now, Persian identity did not vanish. Instead, it evolved, it adapted, it found new life within the Islamic world. Persian poets penned verses in Arabic and Persian. Persian scholars preserved and translated ancient wisdom into Arabic, and slowly, a new cultural identity was born. Islamic in faith, but Iranian in essence. Because to understand modern Iran, you must understand the soul of ancient Persia. This land was shaped not only by conquest and kings, but by ideas, by unshakable identity, and by a defiant resilience. Why is Iran so different from its neighbors? Why is its culture so deep, so enchanting, yet so difficult to define? Because Iran didn't imitate history, it carried it forward. Through defeat and rebirth, through foreign rule and inner strength, Iran became more than a nation. It became a living memory, a civilization that refused to be erased. For centuries, the outside world knew this ancient land as Persia. The name evoked power, grandeur, and timeless mystery. It conjured images of Cyrus, Darius, and Xerxes, of gleaming palaces, celestial poetry, and scientific marvels. Persia was a word soaked in beauty, luxury, and legend. But inside the country, the people called their homeland by another name, a name with even deeper roots: Iran. It came from the word Arianam, meaning the land of the Aryans, a name quietly spoken by Iranians for thousands of years. Still, to the rest of the world, Persia was the brand. Until one day, everything changed. In 1935, a bold new ruler sat on Iran's throne, Reza Shah Pahlavi. He had a fierce vision for the future. He wanted to modernize the nation rapidly. New schools, new clothes, new laws, new roads, and a new global identity. So he made a decision that would echo through history. He sent a letter to every foreign embassy inside, a simple request. From now on, please refer to our country by its native name, Iran. And just like that, after centuries of being called Persia, the name Iran became official in the eyes of the world. To some, it was just a name, but to others, it was a cultural earthquake. Persia stood for glory, romance, and empire. It carried the spirit of epic stories, majestic art, and poetic wisdom. But it also bore Western fantasies, images of something exotic, sometimes decadent, even soft. Iran, on the other hand, sounded modern, independent, resilient, strong. It was a name that came from within, not one assigned by outside, and Reza Shah believed it would help Iran be seen as a serious, sovereign nation, not just a land of carpets and ruins, but a rising modern power. But not everyone celebrated the change. Writers, historians, and artists inside Iran felt that something precious had been lost. To them, Persia wasn't just a name from the West. It was a symbol of their soul, a bridge to ancient greatness. Cyrus, Darius, Persepolis, now vanished from maps and headlines, almost overnight. Some feared that by abandoning the name Persia, the nation had severed itself from its legendary past. Was it progress or erasure? That emotional debate still continues today. Because names matter, they shape how the world sees us and how we see ourselves. By shifting from Persia to Iran, the country sent a powerful message. We are not just memory, we are a living nation. But with that message came risks. The risk of being misunderstood. The risk of being judged by politics rather than history. The risk of having its ancient legacy buried beneath the headlines. And as global tensions rose, those risks became painfully real. The change from Persia to Iran was only the beginning. In 1979, the country faced a moment that would shake the world. A fiery revolution, led by Ayatollah Khomeini, toppled the Pahlavi monarchy, and with it the old order. In its place rose something entirely new, the Islamic Republic of Iran. Overnight, Iran's image on the world stage was radically transformed. Alliances collapsed, Western nations withdrew, sanctions soon followed, and suddenly the name Iran was no longer tied to poetry, art, or empire, but to conflict, isolation, and resistance. The glorious legacy of ancient Persia seemed buried under layers of modern politics, but not entirely. Even in the midst of turmoil, the soul of Persia remained unshaken. People still recited the verses of Rumi, Hafez, and Ferdowsi, poets who captured the depth, longing, and eternal wisdom of a civilization. Families passed down stories of Cyrus the Great, not as myths, but as memories. Ancient celebrations like Nowruz, the Persian New Year, remained sacred, a vibrant reminder that identity cannot be erased. And slowly, outside Iran, a quiet renaissance began. Persia started to return in art, in food, in literature, in conversations that dared to look beyond the headlines. People began to separate the country's politics from its civilization. Iran may dominate the news, but Persia, it lived in hearts. Today, both names coexist. Iran is the official title used in diplomacy, maps, and global affairs. But Persia lives in the soul, in culture, in art, in identity. They are not enemies. They are echoes of one another, two sides of the same eternal coin. Iran represents the nation, its struggle, its evolution, its politics. Persia reminds the world of its ancient glory, its timeless voice, its unbreakable spirit. And in truth, you cannot understand one without understanding the other. Because behind every headline, behind every mention of Iran in the media, there is a civilization that has stood for thousands of years. To know this story is to see more than tensions and treaties. It is to see the people, to feel their memory, their faith, their hope. It's to ask better questions about diplomacy, about identity, and about how nations survive the storms of time. Because a name can hold more than just letters. It can carry an entire legacy. Persia never disappeared, it transformed, it adapted, it waited, and it still lives. In poetry, in pride, in memory. This is not just a country, it's a story, one that refuses to end. If you've made it this far, thank you. This story matters more than most people realize. Subscribe for more deep dives into hidden history and powerful civilizations. Comment below, do you think Persia should have remained the official name? Or was the change to Iran the right path forward? Let's talk about it, because names matter, and stories like this help us see the world more clearly. We'll see you in the next video.